Welcome back to the bench. I'm Judge Lisa, and this is case number 5. Every person who walks into a hospital or a care facility places an unspoken trust in the hands of the medical staff. When that trust is abused, the crime isn't just murder. It is a profound violation of human faith. This is the story of the Nightingale Killer, a woman who systematically murdered 5 vulnerable patients, not for rage or malice, but for a down payment on a luxury home. The case was the State versus Brenda Sykes. The core evidence was invisible, and the motive was purely financial. The setting was the Golden Years Manor, a prestigious, high-end assisted living facility known for its flawless care and affluent clientele. The victims were 5 wealthy, elderly residents who passed away over an 18-month period. Initially, every death was ruled natural causes, complications due to age, heart failure, or pneumonia. No one suspected a thing. Why would they? The lead caregiver for all 5 was Brenda Sykes, a nurse hailed by management and families alike as an angel. She was calm, professional, deeply empathetic, and utterly above suspicion. The investigation began not because of the deaths, but because of the wills. A sharp probate attorney reviewing the estate of the 5th victim noticed a strange pattern. All 5 victims, shortly before their unexpected deaths, had made last-minute, modest amendments to their wills, leaving a small, 5-figure bequest to "my beloved caregiver, Brenda Sykes." The total came to nearly $250,000, the exact amount Brenda Sykes needed for the deposit on a new high-end villa she was purchasing. The prosecution's hurdle was immediate, proving murder when the deaths were certified as natural. We were dealing with the most insidious type of poison, one that mimics the natural decay of the body. The poison Brenda Sykes used was not arsenic or cyanide. It was injectable insulin. When administered in massive doses to non-diabetics, insulin causes rapid, catastrophic drops in blood sugar, leading to seizures, coma, and ultimately death by heart failure. Symptoms almost identical to age-related cardiac arrest. It leaves no trace after a few hours as the body rapidly metabolizes the excess hormone. It was, in effect, the perfect, untraceable murder weapon. The state could not rely on toxicology. They had to rely on data. The case became a forensic deep dive into the facility's digital records. The star witness for the prosecution was Dr. Adrian Moss, a data analyst. He testified not about chemicals, but about digital footprints. Dr. Moss showed that the Golden Years Manor used a sophisticated, computerized charting system. For 4 of the 5 victims, Brenda had logged into their records at highly unusual times, around 3 a.m., to administer unspecified pain medication, followed by a sharp drop in their vital signs logged by the automated monitoring system hours later. The 5th victim, Mr. Wallace, was the break. Brenda had made the fatal mistake of charting a false blood sugar reading, a reading indicating dangerously low sugar, just 15 minutes before administering the fatal dose of insulin, believing it would be deleted by the time the body was found. This digital lie became the only proof of intervention. The defense attorney, Miss Helen Pierce, was brilliant. She argued the digital logs were circumstantial. She called witnesses, the other nurses and doctors, who uniformly praised Brenda's character. Are we to convict an exemplary nurse based on a few late-night keystrokes? She asked the jury. Insulin is in every single facility. It proves nothing but access. The courtroom was deeply divided. Everyone wanted justice for the victims, but the legal requirement was absolute proof of malice. The psychological aspect of the case was harrowing. The defense called Brenda Sykes to the stand. She was poised, compassionate, and wept convincingly about the loss of her beloved patients. She claimed the money was a small gift of gratitude she never solicited, insisting she had earned the down payment through legitimate savings and a loan. The prosecution then began a grueling cross-examination that lasted 2 days, focusing entirely on the betrayal of the trust. Marcus Chen revealed that Brenda Sykes had undergone specialized training 2 years earlier on how to administer high-dose insulin in emergency situations, training she requested and passed with honors. He argued she acquired the training not to save lives, but to precisely understand how to end them without leaving a forensic trail. The most chilling moment came when Chen displayed photographs of the 5 victims' bedside tables. Each one contained a small framed photo of Brenda, given to them as a token of her friendship. Chen forced Brenda to identify each photo and recount her last conversation with each victim. He meticulously detailed how she had built deep, loving relationships with each of her targets over months, earning their complete trust before calmly injecting the fatal dose. Chen: Miss Sykes, you held Mr. Wallace's hand the night before he died, correct? Sykes: Yes, I was comforting him. Chen: And the next night you entered his room, used the special skill you requested training for, and administered the dose that stopped his heart, correct? Sykes: No, I only gave him pain medication. Chen: You murdered him, Miss Sykes, and you used the same trust he gave you to buy a nicer view from your new deck. The badge of a healthcare worker is meant for healing, not for hiding your crimes. The defense's case rested entirely on the notion that the victims were terminally ill and the deaths were inevitable. The prosecution needed a solid, undeniable connection between the money and the timing of the deaths. This led to the discovery of the realtor's testimony. The prosecution brought in Brenda Sykes' realtor. The realtor testified that Brenda was under immense pressure to finalize the purchase of the luxury villa. Her closing date was repeatedly moved back due to insufficient funds. The realtor confirmed that Brenda was under a 3-week deadline to provide the final down payment, or she would lose the contract and her large initial deposit. The prosecution then placed a simple timeline on the screen. Victim 1, Ms. Klein, dies 3 days after the initial deposit is made. Victim 2 and 3, the Thompsons, die exactly when Brenda needs funds to meet the first major installment. Victim 4, Mrs. Ellis, dies when the bank threatens to cancel the loan. Victim 5, Mr. Wallace, dies exactly 6 days before the final deadline to close on the villa. The pattern was too precise, too financially expedient. Brenda Sykes wasn't killing randomly, she was killing on a balance sheet. The prosecution successfully argued that her financial deadlines dictated the timing of the murders, turning the luxury home purchase into the most grotesque motive the court had ever seen. The house wasn't just bought with blood money, it was bought on a schedule of murder. The jury, after 7 days of deliberation, returned the verdict: guilty on all 5 counts of first-degree murder. They rejected the untraceable poison defense, choosing to believe the digital breadcrumbs and the cold calculus of the financial timeline. My sentencing in this case was focused entirely on the violation of trust. I stated clearly that Brenda Sykes had taken one of the most respected professions and used it as a cover for predatory capitalism. I sentenced Brenda Sykes to 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, 1 for each life she extinguished. Furthermore, I issued a financial forfeiture order. The prosecution immediately seized the luxury villa, which was still undergoing closing procedures. The funds from the sale of that house, along with the money she inherited, were placed into a restorative justice fund for the victims' families, and dedicated to improving oversight in elder care facilities across the state. I told Brenda Sykes, "You sought to buy a palace with the lives of the vulnerable. The money you craved will now be used to heal the very wounds you inflicted upon this community. You will not have your home. You will not have your freedom. You will only have the consequence of your betrayal." As Brenda Sykes was led away, she looked not at the jury, but at the photos of the house she would never own. This case remains a permanent scar on the integrity of the medical profession, reminding every judge and jury that the greatest dangers often come disguised in the uniform of the caretaker.